for it. So when we go to the set up a warehouses, the measure there are multiple things which we need to do the set as priority. One is the calendar, and second is the location, and we expect that all the operating unit, ledger, all the things are already predefined. Okay, so considering those things as predefined things, we will start defining the warehouses. I'm not going to define a calendar, but we can discuss to can create calendar also, can assign that one. So the first setup is to we have to define a location before we going to define any warehouses, and we are going to assign that location. We are going to create a warehouses for that location.
Hey, hi Tushar.
Hi. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So,
good morning, sir.
yeah.
Just starting, from the very
Okay,
basic
okay.
setups.
Yes. Sure. Thank you.
Okay, so this is the standard, location template what we have, and I'm going to create a warehouses for that one. So I'll start with something XX. I'm putting India location. So put the okay. I'll put the address, any address like street number 5, something, lane 1. It is not giving any street.
Looks like the Chennai location is not there. Still city.
Let me check the change the status here maybe. Yeah, then now it will come up here. Street 1, lane 1. Yeah, something like that. Putting the street. Well, can you just give me a pin number? It's 3 or start with
6000039. 6000039. Yeah.
So this is just a I just define standard address, and then I'll go to the other tab, shipping tab. So it will based upon my requirement, if I want to ship to warehouse or receive site or build to site, so I can enable all these things, and my ship to location will be that location I defined. And in other details, there will be one thing that will be an inventory organization here. So once we define the warehouse, we need to add this inventory organization here with this location. Okay. So first we need to, so once we define this, we have to, so this is our location setup is complete. So we need to end the address. We have to update the shipping details. And in the others tab, we have to add the inventory organization once our warehouse setup is complete. Any question here, or you can move to the other part?
No questions.
Yes. Then we have to go to the define warehouse, and we have to select new, and I put it, India WMS warehouse. This type is not required. So locations. There's some flex field there. Forgot. Yeah, someone make mandatory all these things. Okay. So if it is a different warehouse like operating unit or something, you need to add a lot all this HR information and other things. I am not adding all information, so they have multiple informations here you can add. Like if it is a business group, you have to give the business group informations, or if it is a HR organization, you have to give all these informations. But I am just adding the inventory organization, which is basic required for this particular setups. And then I will do two setups here for this one. The first one will be the account information. So here it will ask me to enter the business primary ledger, legal entity, and all the informations. So I'll put vision operations. Also this as vision operations. And this I'll create X operating unit. So this is something already defined. I'm not doing anything. So I'm just adding those informations here. Okay. And then I will click other tab, and then I am going to add the inventory informations. So this is very important, to add or whatever the informations we are going to do. So the organization code is very priority, what organization code we are going to define. So for example, I put India WMS warehouses, IWW, and then I have to give the master organization. So I have created, there is a vision master organization. Vision operations. Can I do one thing? Just I'll copy few values and then I will add it here. That will be helpful. So what I'm going to do, we already have a warehouses, so it will be easy to copy those values. So I define one. Okay, so now let's start. So I'll select that warehouse we created. I'll go to others tab and I'll go to the inventory informations. So I put IWW, India WMS warehouses, and then master org. So basically this is, master org actually varies from organization to organization. a few organizations used to create one master org across the globe. So all these items which they created, they just assigned to one warehouse, one master org, and that is also your master org, and maybe sometimes it is your validation org as well. But there are also few organizations which they created a master org specific to the country specific. So each country may have a particular master org. So we already have created a master org X in master org. So I'm going to create that one, and also using the existing calendar X calendar. If required, you can do it based upon your requirements. Then the major important change is locator control. So we put it determined at or pre-specified only, or determined at submitter level. So our locator values, how it is going to be defined, we can be determined at submitter level. We are not going to take care on the organization level. So at the submitter level, we can define either it's a dynamic entry or pre-specified or whatever. It will be decided at the submitter level. Okay. Others is just like all this inventory warehouse setup. I'm not going to on details on that one. The only thing what I'm going to do is that we need to enable the WMS enable here. So if once your organization, okay, so let's start here. So once you select a organization as WMS enabled, you cannot revert it. So that's why it is always wise to do the proper analysis before you enabling the WMS organization, and then you enable it. So because you will not able to disable warehouse WMS once it is saved. And for WCS, you need to enable it. You need to enable for WCS. And if you have EAM or landed cost management, you have to enable from here. This is for the manufacturing. You can enable the manufacturing. And if it is process manufacturing, you have to enable OPM here from here. Okay. Any question up to here, or we can proceed?
Tushar, one question on the location creation. So while we're defining the location in the shipping details, we pass the inventory org details also, and there is an option of EDI org also. So that is only needed when we want to establish an EDI connection or EDI configuration. There we need to pass that EDI org in the location. I think that's only for that setup only we need to pass that EDI value, right? At the time of location creation.
So no, EDI, not much information I need to check actually, because we have not done much on EDI actually.
Okay.
Anyone is having any information on EDI can share. I need to, for EDI I need to check actually. I am not have any information right now.
Oh.
Murugan, any thought, or Karthik?
No, EDI is that the interface EDI you are talking about, right?
Yeah.
Yes. So at the location creation only we have option of specifying that EDI org. So that is only needed in case we need to establish an EDI connection, or is there any other significance for that field? So that was
I believe so, because current organization which is we are working for Mazda, right? Mazda is also EDI enabled.
Right. So
it has to be. Then only the transmissions can happen. More than that, I don't have much information.
Okay, sure.
We'll investigate on that.
Please. Okay, sure.
But good question.
So again, now I'm going to add the cost information. I'm not actually doing any change here. I'm just putting it standard because I just want to use the existing setup, not to do much. And I'll select the cost group. Okay, I have to define a cost group. Okay, let it be here. Just a second. I select. So actually it should be generated by the first one. Let me check. Okay. So it is the default cost group is generated based upon the variance account I entered it. And after that, once the warehouse is created, we can create multiple cost group and we can define multiple cost groups and we can assign to the solvency level. So I am not going most details here because all are related to accounts. So accounts team is going to share you the variance, valuation accounts for this particular setups, and we just need to do the setups. And cost method, whatever the cost method we are going to decide, either it's a standard, or it's average, or it's a LIFO, FIFO. So based upon that, we have to select that one, and we need to define our costs for all items accordingly. Okay, so our measure setups will be start from the will be from this lot revision and all things. So if you have to create a lot enable organization, you can define how your lot is going to control. So if you see here, the lot is controlled at the item level. So I can set up my item as a lot in lot enabled or not. I can do it at my item level setups. And similarly, all my serial numbers. So it's generated at organization level, or you can say at item level. So if you say item level, it will be all your items will have multiple items have same serial number. But if you generate at organization level, then it will be a unique serial number, unique serial number across the items. So based upon the requirement, we used to define all this lot and serial control. So the measure this setup here is that LPN generation. So when we are going to create or generate any LPN in our warehouses, so this setup will be defaulted to your LPNs. So for example, I said my LPN should be 8 character. Sorry, let me open it again, record it. Okay, so if I say 6 characters, my LPN is going to 6 character and it will start with number 1 and it will have prefix, India warehouse. So if I set up this particular setup and when I generate any LPN through my WMS process, so it will take the value from here and based upon that, it will generate the LPN next LPN number. I can create any LPN number based upon my requirement, but if I want to generate from system, it will take from the value from here. Okay. So any question, and there are some UCC 120 suffix. So if you want to enable the barcode for UCC 120 format, you can enable that one. But yeah, that is only for the barcode specific. And this is the setups for the LPN auto generation. Lot serial number will be remain same as the inventory. You can define based upon our inventory process. Okay, any question up to this? Okay. Similarly, this is the setup for the ATP and all big checks. So we don't, for our purpose, ATP, we are not going to go through the planning system. So I'm not going to select anything. So these are the default picking rules we can set up. What are my default picking rules? But as we have a WMS enabled organization, we are going to handle through our rules all these picking defaults. The major thing what we are going to do here is this checks. Pick confirmation required, overpicking for transfer orders, overpicking for manufacturing enables. So these are few things which are important for our WMS setups. The first setup is required is pick confirmation required. So WMS, if there is a, if you go to the transact move order screen, there is a transact button enabled if it is an inventory warehouse. But if you, as soon as you enable it as a WMS enabled warehouse, the transact button will be disabled. So you cannot do any transaction or any pick confirmation or move order transaction from that screen. All you need to do through the handheld devices or through MSCA. There are few scenarios like when we do the web picking, when we release the web, automatically the system do the pick confirmation. It don't create the task and wait for operator to complete the task. By default, it automatically do the pick confirmations. But generally, we do not want to do auto pick confirm in a WMS enabled warehouses because we want to the operators who go, should go there physically and then they do the real time transactions. So generally for that we should enable pick confirmation required so that the task will not be automatically pick confirmed. Okay, so that's why.
Yeah.
Yes, please.
Sure. Is that the checkbox you're referring to? Pick confirmation required.
Yeah,
Right?
pick
So
confirmation
earlier
required.
you said that this is a checkbox. If we check, we only to do transactions in the MSCA or handheld device. That's what your point, right?
No. I'll tell you. So there are few scenarios. For example, you run the pick release, the task will be created and you can go and perform the task.
Hmm.
Okay, but if you go and create a web and release a web, at that point it will automatically do the pick confirmation. It will not create the task.
Correct.
So in that case, to enable, to disable the auto pick confirm, we need to check it here so that the system will not do the pick confirmation automatically. It will create the task
Understood.
and the task will be assigned to someone and operator is going to confirm the task, pick confirm.
Okay.
That's why it is priority. Mostly when you go for web planning or released web, that point it is very much valid. You need to enable that one. Otherwise, you release the web, it will automatically perform the pick confirmation.
Okay.
And if you want overpicking, then you have to enable the overpicking here.
So Tushar, one question. Pick confirm required. Even if you do it in the way you attach a release rule, that will get a precedence or this one?
That will supersede.
Oh, okay.
So if you say auto pick confirm at that point, then it will not do the pick confirm. In the release rule, it will do the pick confirm. But the default it will take from here. So if this is not checked, it will be a problem with the web planning mostly.
But manually we can do the pick release auto pick.
Manually, we can create a pick release rule and we can set auto pick confirm. Then it will auto pick confirm.
Okay, good.
Only the problem, only the difference with auto pick confirm and standard, WMS pick confirm is that if you are going to do a auto pick confirm, there will not be any WMS or LPN number exist. Although there will be no LPN transactions. It will be entirely a lot level transaction similar to the inventory transaction or similar to inventory warehouse. Okay. If you go through the handheld devices, sorry. We can, when we'll go through outbound, we can do both scenarios, like with auto pick confirm and with when we are going to go through the WMS enabled transactions. At that time, we can also run auto pick confirm and we can compare the data, how it is going to do. Because the only difference is that if you have LPNs and involved, you will not find any LPN transactions if you do the auto pick confirm. Any questions, or we can move ahead? Yeah.
Tushar, one question. So when we define that LPN prefix and suffix and then numbering and then naming convention for the warehouse, so for each warehouse there's the same standard will be followed, or can we have a different naming convention among in the same warehouse also?
So generally we used to have the prefix different for each warehouses so that they can identify from which warehouse it is came from. So for that reason we used to always have a prefix different. And there is a WMS license plate number table is there. We can utilize the same LPN number, but it is always suggested to have a different LPN number based upon your warehouses. And we used to give the prefix as warehouse name or a short warehouse name so that it can be easily recognized.
Right, right. So, but in the one warehouse, we can have, I mean, generally there is a same prefix in this one warehouse. Like one warehouse cannot have multiple prefix. Usually it is not recommended, right? Different suffix or prefix in the same warehouse. That way it's not recommended,
We
right?
can have multiple prefix as well, but this is the default prefix. Okay. For
Okay.
example, when I'll show you in the system how when we are generating the LPN in the system, there is a process, button press called Control G, which automatically generates the LPN. And when we press Control G, then it will take the value from here and generate the LPN number. But if you predefine some LPNs out of your system or generated through other programs, you can also define any other LPN and you can also do the transaction using those LPN. Okay. For example, I said my organization LPN will start with IW, but my manufacturing LPN will start with IM. Okay. So, but you cannot generate them, during on fly. You have to pre-generate them and then use it. So there is a program called generate LPN program. So you have to call that program and keep them ready before you are going to use them. And then you can use those in your programs or while doing the manufacturing process, you can use them. But it cannot be a default. It cannot be generated as a default, by default. So using this program,
dynamic LPN. Right?
Yeah, you can create any type of LPN, and you can you call it pre-generated LPN. We can keep it with you, and when you do the manufacturing process, you can pack your items in that LPN. Then that prefix may be a different one. But this is where we, like the lot number. Okay, so if you press Control G or auto lot number, it will be default the lot number basically based upon your setups here, like predefined or starting lot number or end lot number. But you can also
Correct.
manually enter the lot number, and you can enter any lot number in your system. It is like same that one. So by default, it will take from here, but you have the option that you can enter any LPN number through the system. So it depends upon the business how they want to design the system. But we always told them that if you want to default printers to be printed, default LPNs, it will be generated from this option and it will give you the next LPN when we go for the generate new LPNs. But you can define predefined LPNs and you can reutilize also. That is not an issue. That is acceptable.
Okay. And also this LPN generating option of predefining the suffix and prefix is also available at the sub-inventory level or the item level, or only at the warehouse level?
Only at the warehouse level. It is not at the sub-inventory level.
Okay. Thanks.
So, okay. So I'm not going to do anything. It's all related to accounts. We don't have much information here. Even here also, it is all about your receiving accounts, all these variance accounts. So not going on details here. Yeah. So this last two tab is very, very important for us, but we will not go through details everything today. I'll just highlight it, and then when we required, we are going for that one. Okay. So the first one is the opportunistic cross-docking criteria. So when you want to enable the opportunistic cross-docking in your warehouses, you have to enable it, and you have to define your cross-docking criteria and other informations. This we are going to discuss when we will go for the cross-docking criteria, or we'll go for the cross-docking. Currently, I am keeping it disabled, and we'll enable it and test it when we'll go through the cross-docking area. So if we want to enable the cross-docking, basically the opportunistic cross-docking, you have to come and enable at the organization level. Then only we can utilize this cross-docking functionality. Okay. Second is the cycle count. The next is cycle count header. If you want to set up a defined or default cycle count header, once you define your cycle count, you can default it here. So we don't have any cycle count, so it is not enabled here. The next is direct shipping allowed. So we have direct shipping functionality in the WMS where without doing the pick release, we can directly ship a LPN against a sales order. Okay. So if you want to enable that direct shipping allowed, you have to enable the direct shipping here allowed here. Then only you can directly ship the LPN for a particular sales order without doing the pick release process. So there is a functionality in the outbound WMS system where you can directly select your sales order and scan your LPN, and you can directly ship it. It will automatically create a delivery number, and then you can automatically there is option to do the ship confirmation as well. If you want to enable that feature, you have to select it, a direct shipping allowed. Okay. Then if you are going to have any seeded default PUTI rule, so this will be the default PUTI rule. If anything is failed, then this default PUTI rule will be executed, which is set at the organization level. Next one is catenation. So if you are going to enable catenation, so you can check where you are going to enable the catenation, when you are going to generate the cartons. So all the things you can define from here. So I am currently disabling it. We are not going to do the catenation initially, but once we complete the process, like we will go through all the outbound process, then we'll enable catenation and we'll do one round of testing on the catenations. So in catenation, basically what we need to do, you need to define multiple cartons, and we have to define the item to carton relationship. And when we do the pick release, it will automatically create a LPN carton LPN. And when you do the picking, it automatically default you the LPN number for that carton, which is generated during the pick release process. And that carton will consider your capacity, how many items required to be packed in that carton, all the informations are will be mapped during your conversion from the item to cartons. So that will take one more session for going through the catenation. Okay. This is your RFID control. If you are, we discussed yesterday about the RFIDs. If you need to enable the RFID control, you have to enable it from here. Any question here, or you can move to the next?
Fine, sir.
Okay. Then the next one is that default task types. So I'm not going these task types right now because I need to show you the task types, how we are going to define the task types, what is the required, for to define the task types. Then I can, better to show these setups to, for you. So for the timing, I am just skipping these setups, and then I will show you when we'll go through the task types actually. Okay. And then the PUTI task. So PUTI task, if you want to generate automatically, after you do the receipt, you can click it here. So what it will do when we do the receipt of a LPN against a PO or IR, it will automatically create a PUTI task by default in the system. And whoever operator scan it, he will get the task and he will get the executions. And this is the generation interval times, how many intervals you can generate the task. This is only when you are going to generate the task by default after the put away. But there are some issues with this type of things, because if you generate the putter task immediately after the receipt, and by the time you go there, maybe something or some other item can be moved to that location using a sub transfer or using a move order. So it depends upon the business you are working on that one. So based upon that, you can select this pre-generate, or we can generate the putter task on the fly when we can scan the LPN. So this setup is required based upon the business. So based upon the business requirement, we used to do it. Okay, so the basic idea is that if we want to generate the task immediately after the receipt, we have to select pre-generated after receipt, and we have to give some time interval. And the next is that skip task minutes. So if you want to doing the skip task, how many minutes it will get to get the next task. So this is the setup for the skip task. And the second is the cluster picking. So when we go to the pick methodology, we'll go through the cluster picking. So for example, we can cluster multiple deliveries into a peak wave and we can pick it at one time. Suppose I said cluster picking maximum cluster is 3. So I can club 3 deliveries during in a wave, and I can operator can pick all these 3 deliveries at a time when he's going through the pick path. So this I will cover through when we go through the pick methodology in the outbound process. And last is the operation outbound plan. So we have operation plan for both for inbound and outbound. So for the outbound, it is already predefined. We cannot create any new operation plan. So these 8 operation plans are fixed. We cannot define anything new. Whereas for the inbound, we can create our own operation plan. We can do our putaways in multi steps for the inbound process. But for the outbound, it is fixed. And we'll go through all these features one by one. What is the meaning of these particular points? I'm currently putting as default, but we'll go through details all this outbound operation plan when we'll go through the outbound process. Okay. Any question?
Tushar, not in this page. If I ask you about the LPN,
Okay, I'm going to that.
if you cover it later also, I don't mind, but just I'll put my question, please. So what you have said that pre-generated LPNs is at the warehouse level, right? And in what scenarios we usually use this pre-generated LPNs? And recently Gagan also approached you about the reuse LPN, right? LPN reuse. Is that there is a link between these things?
We'll reuse LPN or reuse LPN is something different. Okay.
Okay, yeah, functionality is different, but of course, if you have the pre-generated LPNs only, those
Okay,
this reuse LPN
I'll
will be
give a
used.
small example. Okay.
Please.
Let me log into the handle devices. Okay, so if I go to receive a PO here, I'll go to receive a PO. I have a warehouse already, WMS Cairo warehouse. So if I receive a PO, for example, so system will ask you to enter LPN number. Okay, I can give any LPN number here. It will accept. But if I want to keep a sequence, I just press Ctrl Z. It will take the LPN number from that setup, which we have done it here. And it will, this one. So it will show you the next LPN from this based upon this sequence.
Okay.
And if you, for example, it depends upon the business scenario. If I am receiving in a warehouse, I always try to use a unique name, and I want to print the LPN number, based upon the next sequence. So I can press Ctrl G, and that is, automatically it will take the value from here. It will automatically generate a default LPN number based upon this LPN generation option. But
but we don't have any control, Tushar, to restrict that user should not use their own naming convention of the LPN.
We do not have any control. We can do the control, but like there is option we can do the validations, but it will be a little bit technical stuffs.
Technical stuff. It is possible, right?
Yeah,
standard.
Possible. Okay. Yes. Standard not possible. Technically, it is possible. Yeah.
Oh, customization. Okay, fine.
You have to do a customization. You have to give a validation. So it's generate the LPN. If it will check coming out of sequence, then only it will allowed. Manual entry not allowed. Something like that. We can do.
Okay.
Okay, but generally we don't do any customization because there are depend upon the businesses. For few business, if you see if it is inter or transports are enabled, and already the item is packed in a proper pallet and coming from that warehouses, we don't need to generate a new LPN. directly we can receive the existing LPN which is coming from the other warehouses.
Okay.
So at that point, we don't need to press continue, generate the next sequence, create a new LPN. We can directly receive the existing LPN, which is come from our sister warehouses, and we can just receive it and we can do our distribution process or outbound processes. So that's why generally we don't disable these features. It's
Oh, you mean to say the same LPNs can be used in our warehouse also,
yes,
right?
can be used
Which
in
comes
our
from there.
warehouses.
Understood, please. Okay. Mhm.
So when you do
Coming back to the reuse.
yes, but it should be like when you can do it, there is also option. Like when only you are using a interrupt transfer, or when you are using IRISO system, then only it can be transferred from one warehouse to other warehouses. But if it is your sales order and PO, where there is no interlink between these LPNs, you cannot reuse it. Then only it will come to that, you need to change the LPN context back to defined not used, and then you receive it.
Okay.
Okay, you got my point now, because if it is a interrupt transfer or it is a IRISO, because this is a transaction between warehouse to warehouse. So once you ship from one warehouse, the inventory or the LPN will be in transit status, and then you can directly put the same LPN in the receiving warehouse.
Okay.
Okay. But if it is a PO or sales order concept, that you create a sales order in a warehouse, and for that you create another PO in other warehouses, and then you are doing a transaction between PO and SO, then it is not possible to do the same features what you I can understand the case what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Yes, yes,
In
yes.
that
I understood.
case, you need to change the LPN context back to to predefined and not used. You can then receive it in the other warehouses.
Clear. I think. Mhm.
Okay.
Okay.
So all any doubt on this, or it's clear?
No, you mean to say that did I got cleared on the purpose of this pre-generated LPN? So it is only way, right? So either you can generate at the time of receiving or some operations, but if the organization, I mean the warehouse manager will create a predefined LPNs and keep it ready for the user, you mean to say, right?
I can do one thing. I can go to here, view request, and generate the LPNs, and I can print some LPNs which I want to use for that one, and I can assign to that operator, to the operator. And operator, when come to this LPN, rather than creating it, they'll scan that LPN and they can utilize that one as well.
Exactly, I have seen that operation. Okay, fine, that's right. Okay, thanks.
Depend upon what your business is wants. Some business said no, we don't want to generate the LPN before. Once we receive it, then only we'll print the LPN. Okay. Or someone said we'll define the printer, LPNs before, and we'll keep it to the receiving operator, and then they will assign that LPNs to the pallet once they receive it. So both ways can be, both scenarios can be handled.
True.
Our WMS solutions.
So when the user scans that predefined LPN which has been pasted at this desk,
yes,
Tushar, so sometimes that LPN would have been used for some material, right? And it has been something, it's not yet completely, it's not ready for the reuse. So he cannot reuse that, right? You mean to say? Until
we'll cover the LPN context in one session. So then I'll explain you in what what is the status and which can be reused. So if it is defined and not used, then only you can reuse it. If it is in different status, you cannot scan it, you cannot use it.
Okay. Okay.
So there is
it will give an error. Okay.
It will give an error that it cannot be used. And there is we have a WMS license plate number table, and there are multiple contexts are there. So based upon the context, it decided what can be scanned.
Okay. Thanks, Tushar. Again, we will try to discuss more on the LPN session. Thank you.
So this is all about the inventory organization, and the next will be.
Yes. Sorry to interrupt. Actually, one follow-up question on this. In the same Oracle mobile screen, when we are entering the details, we have the like different details like PO number, item, LPN number that we can also pass manually, and the location. But how to ensure that this LPN belongs to this specific warehouse only? I mean, the warehouse is not available in the screen, only the location is available. And for one location, we can have multiple warehouses also, right? The tie-up can be multiple warehouse. So how to ensure that this LPN belongs to this warehouse? How the user will be, anyone can know that.
No, currently this LPN is not belongs to any warehouse. Once I receive it, then only it will be belong to any warehouses. So if you see the receipt, I am selecting the warehouses, right? Like any Oracle
Okay.
form you go, you are selecting the inventory warehouse, right?
Right.
Similarly, when you come here, you come to the screen. So it will ask you to, your warehouse name to be as, what is the warehouse?
Okay.
Okay.
Here we pass the warehouse. Okay.
Warehouse
By
number.
default.
And then when you receive it, and press Ctrl G, the next you can see now the 19 generated, last time 18 generated. So once we do the, and this time it is not defined, not used. It's currently not in used. Only when I am going to do the receipt, then only it will be assigned to the particular warehouses.
Okay.
Okay.
Understood.
So
Right.
that actually, this is the linking. When I do the, what it basically it is doing, it is creating the LPN, it is creating the all these lines are there. It is just inserting your RCB interface, and your receiving transaction processor are creating the receipt. At that time, it will be assigned to your warehouses.
Okay. Sure. Understood. Thank you.
So I want to complete just one last with the sovereignty setup. We can need to go through the next session because we have some other things pending for we are going to do it. So I am just going to create a particular, again, a sovereignty and how to define a sovereignty and one locator. And then from next session onwards, I will start with the inbound processes. Okay.
Okay.
So I will create one, I'm just creating one a sovereignty called FG bulk. So I'm just creating it. I'm not explaining today much on this, but next session we'll go through this and we'll complete the inbound process. Basically, I will create a PO, will do the receipt, and will do the put away. So I'm just creating a sovereignty. I'm not giving more details here, but I'll cover this in next session. So this is a FG bulk sovereignty. I'll just open it. I'll give you the little bit text, options here. So the first type is the storage type. What is the storage type? It is the storage or it is a receiving. If it is a storage, then the on hand will be created. If it is receiving the status, then the item will be in receiving status. It is the on hand will not be created unless until it move to any storage locations. So there are two type of sovereignty we can define. One will be storage, one will be receiving. So the basic difference is that when you go to the material workbench, if the inventory is storage, it will be display here inside the on hand. If it is receiving, it will be display inside this particular receiving functionality. Okay, and that control is here where based upon the type of locations. The measure setup is the status. Like we have three status parameters: include in ATP, allow reservation, or enable. So based upon that, if you select the status, it will work like that one. We said reservable, not allowed in, then this sovereignty, any on hand inside the sovereignty will not allow to do any reservation for any sales order or any move order. So based upon these three combination, we used to define our status. We can define our manual status, and we can assign here, at the sovereignty level. And then quantity tracked, asset enabled. So if you want to enable fixed asset, then you can select all these informations. Then locator control. So generally for WMS enabled, we select as pre-specified, and default locator status as active. Again, the locator wise, you can also define what is the default status. You said it is active or it is the same options you have. You can utilize or select the same option as well. Okay. Peak order, dropping order are basically required when you have multiple sub inventories and you want to prioritize your picking or dropping based upon the sub inventory. But generally, these two options we mostly use at locator level. So when I go to define the locator, I'll explain more details on picking order and dropping order. Second is location. It is not mandatory for a storage warehouses, but when we have receiving warehouses, this is mandatory. It is the same warehouses which we defined, or the same warehouse location which we defined. We need to default it here for the receiving warehouses, or for the receiving type sub inventories. Accounts, it is same copy, coming from the cost group. If you have a multiple cost group defined, you can change the cost group and your accounts will be defaulted based upon your cost group here. Coming into the warehouses, so there are few things you need to be here. If you want to LPN controlled, you need to enable it here. Generally, if it is a bulk location, all are we store as pallet, then we enable the LPN control. If it is a flow location like loose quantity, we can it should be a non-LPN control, and then we can uncheck the LPN control one. We'll go through details maybe in the next session when we'll define more sub-inventory and locators. Enable catenation. So if we'll enable catenation for this particular sub-inventory, then we can enable it here. If you want to bulk picking enable for this particular sub-inventory, we can click this and we can enable the bulk picking. Enable the opportunistic cycle count. So this is something, you have physical count, cycle count. On top of that, you can enable the opportunistic cycle count, where you can define a cycle count of opportunistic cycle count, and you can trigger a cycle count when your inventory for a particular location goes down a particular number. Like I said, I define it 1. If my inventory goes down to 1 after I pick from that location, then automatically the next task it will assign to the operator is a cycle count task. We will go through more details during picking and cycle count on this one. Okay.
Yeah, this will be enabled only if the LPN controls are enabled. Otherwise, it won't work.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. So this is all about the sub-inventories, and I'm just creating one locator, but next session will continue more. So I have 3 sections here: row, rack, bins. I'm just creating only one locator for the timing, and we will continue from the next session onwards. Sorry, I'm just creating 4 characters. This locator you can define based upon your setups. You can define your locator, and this is a KFF, and this is defined based upon your organization at the global level. So when we first implemented Oracle in any any warehouses or any organization, this is a primary setup or KFF setup we need to define, and how many segments, how many values this can take, we need to define at that point. So this is a setup when we enable the Oracle in any new organization, not at the inventory level. So this is set up at the global level. When we do the global implementation, at that time we need to define that one. So I am just creating one locator for this particular warehouse, and the next session on Saturday will start from these stock locators, and we'll create few items, and then we'll go through the inbound process. Any question up to this?
No, sir. Thank you.
So can we stop for today, and we'll continue from next session?